Shalom all. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah school at KosherTorah.com, broadcasting for the first time in our new home in Pennsylvania, just outside of Allentown. I wanted to share with you an important lesson about something that I posted earlier today on Facebook about the meaning of the Hebrew word Shema. Shema is the famous word which begins our famous tefillah prayer, Shema Yisrael, Hear, O Israel, Hashem our God, Hashem is one. But people do not pay attention to codes. All of the words that we use in our prayers, our tefillot, all these things are actually coded messages. And it's important not only that we understand the code, but we extract from the code what exactly it is that we're supposed to be doing. Now, this is an important point. You see, it's very easy for us to discuss matters, to talk about what this means and what that means, and we will do that. But it's not enough to just explain. Like it says in Pirkei Avot, Lo hamidrash ha'ikar ela ha'ma'aseh. It's not the learning that counts, it's the doing. In our world here, it's a very famous Gemara that states, since the time of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, Hashem has no place in this world to call his own, otherwise called the Arba Amot of Halacha, meaning, the symbolic meaning, 4 square feet of Halacha. Halacha means the way to go, the natural way that a person is supposed to walk the Torah path. Essentially, the word Halacha means, in its spiritual content, the same thing that the word Tao means in the Chinese. It's a spirit, a fluid of movement. So therefore, when we want to talk about the Kabbalah, when we want to talk about Shema, to listen, it's not enough that we just have a very philosophical, academic discussion. And you go, ooh, that's so cool. No. Lo hamidrash ha'ikar. It's not what you learn, it's what you do with what you learn. So now, with this understanding, let us get into what actually and for real some would call magic. Now, magic in the way that it's understood today really doesn't exist. We know that. There's Harry Potter magic, which is fantasy. There's Las Vegas stage magic, which is entertainment. But real magic is the power of the human mind. Today they call it psi, right? Psychic development. This is nothing foreign to Torah. On the contrary, this is exactly what is referred to in our Torah tradition as Hasakat Ruach HaKodesh, the acquisition of divine inspiration. It is not a gift. It is not for the select. It is not for the elite. As Rambam makes it very clear in the Moreh Nebuchim, the Guide to the Perplexed, which, in all due respect, is probably the greatest book on the secrets of Torah, far greater than anything in the Zohar, the later Kitvei Ari, and all the Achronim, later writers, rabbis. Section 2, chapter 32. It is a natural acquisition of human development. He calls it the refinement of the mind. We would call it, in later Kabbalah, Tikun HaShekhina, the refinement of the soul. We would today call it expanding consciousness. That which we call psi development, psychic development, expanding the powers of the mind to become aware of the reality, of the greater realities around us, is a natural, normal development. We refer to this in our tradition as learning to hear. Okay, and I'll explain all the details in just a minute and put it into practice. For those of you who want a good understanding of the psychic power development in science, I'll recommend you to an excellent book recently came out called Real Magic by Professor Dean Radin, R-A-D-I-N. You can get it on Amazon.com. It's available in audiobook. Very important scientific validation. Why is that important? Because, as the Baal Shem Tov has taught us, where a man thinks, person thinks, human being, male, female, where we think is where we're at. And if we accept brainwashing that these abilities do not exist, then in our minds, in our reality, they won't. If I was to take you down the good old Gold's Gym where I go, and say to you, you could never lift 100 pounds, and you believed it, you would never be able to do it. But if I were to say to you, yes, you can train yourself to lift 300 pounds, you'd say, wow, and you'd work hard, and you could make it happen. The old saying, I'm sure you've heard it, when there's a will, there's a way. The will is the keter. The way, halacha, malchut. Keter, malchut, malchut, keter, a big secret of the ladder of ascent. And a big mistake about a ladder of ascent. People think it in a linear manner, like it goes like up and down. It's only a symbolism. It's expansive. It's expressive. It goes out in all directions because consciousness expands to become aware of all things in all ways. So now, let's turn to the word Shema, a simple word of 3 Hebrew letters, and understand what its code is, and then how we can extract from the code what exactly to do. Now, the word Shin Mem spells the Hebrew word Shem. You can say name. But that name, Shin Mem, actually is the numerical value of 2 Shemot Kodeshim, 2 holy names, the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and the name Shaddai. Curious and interesting that the names Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and Shaddai correspond in the Kabbalistic tradition to the 2 Sephirot of Tiferet and Yesod, which are, of course, if you're familiar with the Kabbalistic tree of life, one on top of one another. Symbolically, Tiferet is called Israel, whereas Yesod is called Yaakov. They are the 2 faces of the higher human being, the higher self, which we call Ze'er Anpin, the small face of God within us. Now, what about the Ayin, the last letter? Ayin is in Gematria 70. 70 in itself is the gematria of the Hebrew word sod, samech vav dalet. But here's something about sod. It's also the numerical value of the Hebrew word yayin, which means wine. It's spelled yud, yud, nun. The first yud corresponds to Israel. The second yud corresponds to Yaakov. The final nun, like the final nun of all the Vav Nun Malachim, the sandal phones, corresponds to Malchut. So therefore, what we have in that one word is I'm talking about the Ayin, revelation of Yayin, is the hint to the Tiferet, the Yesod, the Malchut, which is the ladder of ascent, which unites the lower self to the higher self. That is the secret of the Yayin. And there's an old saying, right, actually from Tanakh. When wine goes in, secrets come out. When you learn the meaning of this Yichud, of Tiferet, Malchut through Yesod, then you understand the secret. How? Not because you learn it from a book, because you can hear it from the voice within you. That's the great secret of this Shema. As we know from Kabbalah, the original revelations from Adam Kadmon emanated from his ears, the place of hearing, the Sefirat Bina, the place of understanding, the supernal mother, the proper domain of the mind, the supernal womb. Everything revolves around the feminine. The upper feminine, Malchut, the lower feminine, the upper feminine is Bina, the lower feminine is Malchut. So Tikun HaNefesh, corresponding to Malchut, is the most vital and important thing before us right now. And before we start to philosophize this, we have to get real, okay? We're all very familiar with a very famous midrash that says it was in the schut, the merit of women, that we were redeemed from Egypt. And it says in the merit of the women, we will be redeemed again in the days of Mashiach. Well, what are women going to do? They're going to start dressing up in Eastern European costumes, start paying a legacy of some type of cultural, ethnical accoutrements, which is completely ridiculous. foolish in my opinion, with absolutely no connection to anything authentically based in Torah. No. Women's spirituality, which is just in the embryonic stage today, needs to blossom. Yeah, we need prophetesses. Not someone who's just going to have, ego aggrandizement and think that God's talking to him. Oh, no. Not for naught are we taught that the Sulam Aliyah, the ascent, comes through only one thing, a proper calibration of energetic balance. Right? That's that Tiferet, Yesod, Malchut, male, female, calibration, and alignment. That's what we call the Yichud, unity of the Holy One, blessed be He, and the Shekhinah. So now, when we want to Shama, listen, then we have to learn to hear the voice of the Shekhinah, the collective feminine, the soul of Mother Earth. And yes, Rambam says very clearly in the Hilchot Yesodei Torah, the planet Earth itself is a conscious, sentient, living being. She is our mother. It sounds a lot like the New Age Gaia concept, and it might very well be exactly that. Mother Earth is alive. She is the Shekhinah. She is the Torah, the oral Torah. When Rabbi Yosef Karo, the famous author of the Shulchan Aruch, would channel, this is what came through his mouth. The voice of the Shekhinah, the voice of the feminine, the voice of the Malchut. And he bonded with that and gave rise to that, channeled it, and contributed to her healing. This is where we are at today. Tikun HaMalchut, Tikun HaNefesh, Yayin. The only tikkun for the feminine must be with the bond with Yaakov and Yisrael. Now we again can philosophize this, but no. Let's talk about proper calibration of energy. We all know the famous pasuk in Parashat Kedushim tiyu ki kadosh ani Hashem, right? You have to be holy. Holiness is not anything religious. It's an energetic calibration of the energy of the soul. That's all that it is. Energy. Everything in this world is energy. If you will, think of the example, if you're familiar with the movie The Matrix, with that last final scene where Neo wakes up realizing he's not dead and he sees the whole world around him as a big computer program. Well, the world around us isn't really a computer program, but it is energy. Everything around us is energy. Energy can be properly calibrated and aligned, or it can be out of sync. When proper energy is aligned, then we have health. When things are out of sync, then we have illness. Anyone who deals with energy healing, anyone who deals with Qigong, or any of these other types of energy calibration knows this very well. It is very clearly stated by Rashi and others that the way we achieve this energy calibration is through sexual alignment. In our Torah tradition, it's vital that men and women be in a long-term, monogamous, faithful relationship with one another. Think Abraham and Sarah, Yitzhak and Rivka, Yaakov. Even though we had Leah and Rachel, right? It was still within a context of monogamy in that respect. Why? Think about this. Compare it, if you will, to a radio station. You want to tune into a radio station. Can you tune into 5 different radio stations all at the same time? No. You can only tune into one to get a clear signal. This is why in all religious spiritual traditions around the world, sexual monogamy, calibration is the secret of psychic development and ascent. Promiscuity, which is so rampant in our society, religious and secular alike, has been a death blow to men and women alike. Women were much more receptive to this energetic imbalances. The promiscuity has caused an entire generation to be incapable. You hear the sirens in the background, yeah. Maybe that's symbolic, synchronistic of the nature of the emergency. Yes, in other words, because there's so much out of syncness, out of calibration. Women today can no longer balance with a single male voice within. Men cannot balance with a single female voice within. The promiscuity of men has disconnected them from the ability to hear the Shekhinah within. That's why men today are, I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of name calling, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Women today have a hard time finding a good man because they are so out of sync. And many women today have given up. They become so frustrated, angry with men. All because we allow the energy to get all out of shape. This is exactly what the Lurianic traditions was defining and describing, as we call the Shvirat HaMalachim, the fall of the lights of the primordial saga. And the ban, which it became, and the ma needed to rectify it. Male, female, balance, alignment. This is the secret of Tiferet, Yesod, and Malchut. Malchut is not only the feminine, it's the physical. Tiferet is the higher self, male or female, no difference in that respect. But Yesod is that libido energy, the chi, the prana, the orgon, right? The ki in Reiki. It is your life force energy. And if that gets dissipated and weakened, that is why no one is able to make ascent today. Because like a laser beam, you need the light concentrated in order to penetrate. But when we diffuse energy, that is the violation of Kiddusha. That is the defamation of the Shekhinah. And as such, people are unable to ascend. People are unable to make a connection. And they fall back into the philosophical, the academic, and inside their souls, people are crying out in pain because they are desperate to make ascent. But because the energy is not properly calibrated within, they can't get a clear signal. So Shema means to align. The Shin and the Mem, the Tiferet and the Yesod, the Yisrael and the Yaakov, the two male components. The Yesod, symbolized by the name Yaakov, is the libido energy. It is the conduit. It is that ladder which connects Malchut to the Tiferet. And only when that is properly aligned, properly calibrated, can you get in the big frequency. You hear these sirens and everything going by outside right now? Right? I don't believe in coincidences. But what I'm talking about is so important. I find that almost synchronistic of the state of the spiritual emergency that everyone is in today. I look throughout social media. I see what goes on in the religious communities today. So many people are studying the Kabbalah unit, the academic Kabbalah, and they think they've accomplished something. But unless you develop your psychic abilities, you have developed, you have accomplished nothing. Yeah, you'll have a great education, but you have to bond. Men need to bond with the Shekhinah. Women, ladies, you need to recognize you are the Shekhinah. Look throughout the psychological writings of Carl Jung, when he brings down the archetypes of women. You have the archetype of the lower woman, who is called the harlot, and the archetype of the higher woman, who is the matriarch. Look at the type of clothing that are sold today in all the stores. What that face of woman is being propagated. What a woman is supposedly good for. With all the Me Too stuff going on out in the world today. There's nothing new under the sun. But we allow it. And that is the greatest of our errors. We must have the sanctity, the self-respect of Kedusha to properly align and balance. Now, this is a very simple, energetic thing. There's no moral issues here, right, wrong, guilty, not guilty. None of that matters. What it is simple, practical alignment of energy. We call that teshuvah, a realignment, recalibration. Malchut, the Bina. This is the secret of the ascent. This is the secret of Shama. Again, there's a very famous teaching in Perek Yavot which states, from the time of the destruction of Beit HaMikdash, right, from those days, a voice goes forth from Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, saying, Oy Olam, Shel Bonah ala Torah. Woe to the world because of the disgrace shown to Torah. What is Torah? The Torah, the oral, living, vibrant Torah, is our Mother Earth, who teaches us the halacha, the natural way of how to serve Hashem. And who is this Hashem? If you still think God's some little old man with a white beard sitting on a cloud somewhere, some patriarchal figure, then unfortunately your understanding of Torah is most, what can I say, the lowest level. Yud Ke Vav Ke isn't a name. It's actually a concept. It's based upon the root verb He Vav He in Hebrew, which means Hove, but the Yud, which takes a verb, transforms it from the passive to the active tense. God's name is active being, consciousness, the sentient consciousness of the universe. That is what we align with. That is inside each and every one of us, male and female. That is what we call Ze'er Anpin, the small face of God, which is the spark and source of all our human souls. Proper calibration of energy enables us to realign. And when we do, we hear what is called in the Gemara a bat kol. Kol is the voice. Not everyone can hear the voice, but you can hear that which emanates from the voice, that inner, intuitive, psychic sensing. The Ben Ish Chai writes about this in his commentary to the Perek Yavot, which I just mentioned to you. That voice crying forth from Sinai isn't the physical voice. You're not going to go to Mount Sinai and hear a voice echoing through the mountains there, but you'll feel it inside right here. When you are silent in your mind and you open up your heart to pay attention. When you recalibrate your energy, call it Nefesh, you call it Chi, you call it Orgon, you call it Prana, you call it Kundalini. All of these systems, you must transcend the superficial surface differences to get to the essence of what's beneath. That is why we say, Hashem, Eloheinu Hashem, Echad. One. Singularity. You need a biblical example for this? How about it? Prophet Malachi, I believe it's chapter 1, verse 10, Pasuk Yud. From the rising of the sun to the going down thereof, great is my name among the nations. Go read what the Gemara says on that Pasuk. Go read what Rashi writes. That no matter who, no matter where, no matter what, a person of any religion around the world, if in their heart they are praying to what they believe to be the ultimate God, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, it doesn't matter what the form of worship is. Even if it's an idolatrous form of worship, Hashem accepts it from their hands as a pure offering. So for those of you who want to create division and strife between all the different religions, my religion's right, your religion's wrong, you are in violation of prophecy. You are in violation of Torah. This is what we call Torah HaMashiach, the unity. Go read in Yirmiyahu, the real new covenant. No one is going to have to say no Hashem. They all know me. Because we will have opened up those psychic channels where we can connect into, tap into the greater collective consciousness which unites and bonds us all as energetic beings. It's not enough that you just accept or understand the concept. Yes, I can go on and quote this book and that book. You have to do it. You have to change your lifestyle. You have to change what you do. You have to learn to contemplatively meditate, properly safeguard your physical, emotional, intellectual, and psychic energies, properly find balance between male and female so as to align the supernal pattern. That's the way it was from the beginning. And I know I'm saying something which might be a formidable task, maybe impossible for many because of the reality and circumstances today. But unfortunately, maybe I'm a little foolish. You know why? Because I'm still a diehard optimist. I believe firmly that we can make a difference. All we have to do is continue to try and never give up hope, never give up faith. So therefore, the secret of Shema is the recalibration of alignment between the individual conscious mind, ala malchut, through the power of that libido psychic energy, which transforms its libido and taps into the higher psychic developments. Know that the power of psychic development is real. Some people are terrified of these things. They're afraid of them. Certain elements in the extremist right-wing religious community think it's all evil and sitra achra. You know something? They're the blind leading the blind, the fools talking to fools. You must stay away from such foolishness. You must know inside you the truth. Not because I say so, but because you see with your own eyes. In the Gemara we say, Ta Shma. Come and listen. Listen. Cultivate listening. Learn how to listen. So that when you get to the Zohar, it'll say, Ta Hazeh. Come and see. But if you don't come first, you'll never get there. Like Rambam says, this is the natural development. The Baal Shem Tov had a very famous vision one Rosh Hashanah, where he ascended through the paths of Aliyah Ascent, which is what we teach here in our KosherTorah school. He says he saw Mashiach. He says, okay, guy, Mashiach, we've been waiting for you for a long time. When are you coming? And he says, when people are able to make ascents, Aliyot, like you. Well, people today all talk Hasidic talk. You have the Lubavitch, you have the Breslov, you have this school, that school. But no one teaches ascent because no one understands it anymore. They look at it superficially, platonically, as a philosophical system, and they never, ever get to the source. I was learning through some things on the dictionary, Wikipedia, and came across what I was learning, something called shamanism. Shaman is someone who speaks to the spirits and is aware of the soul and spirits around us. Well, that's what a Navi is. That is what our school of the children of the prophets are. I guess I'm a shaman. I never knew it. What can I say? Okay. But it's important that we recognize the reality of this, not because I say so, but because you cultivate the experiences thereof. We do not seek fortune telling. We do not seek to know the future. Why? Because the future exists in a state of quantum potential. And whenever you predict the future, you've collapsed the quantum potential and you've narrowed reality. According to our Torah path, that's a horrible crime. Every potential is before us. And I will tell you, the power of positive thinking, the power of the mind, I will tell you with assuredness, we're not going to have an apocalypse. The apocalypse is a psychological construct which each and every one of us must go through without necessarily the doom and gloom of a nuclear world war. I know a lot of people, they want, I want to kill all those bad guys. Yeah, we're going to get this group and that group and that group and this group. Something that immature, divisive thoughts needs to stop. We need people to connect. Women, ladies, you are the Shekhinah. Please experience this for yourself. Know this for yourselves. Not because I say so. Take the steps yourselves. Calibrate your Kiddusha. Experience it. And take your rightful place in the leadership of spiritual development for this planet. Restore the fallen Sag and make Ben Sag again. For those of you who know the Luriana traditions, you know what I'm talking about. Only I, as the human being that I am, can show this, to teach it, to share it, to guide it. But you're the ones who have to do it. And it requires change in lives. And that's the hard part. But this is what we need to do. Balance, harmony, alignment, in ascent. And you cannot be afraid. When you go in ascent, like it says with Ezekiel's vision, Eliyahu Nabi's vision, yeah, you have to go through the klipot. You have to face all your inner dark side, your inner skeletons and the cobwebs. They all got to be cleaned out. If you don't do it now, well, guess what? That's the meaning of Gehinnom on the other side. You're going to go through it. Then it'll be a hell of a lot harder than it is now. Here, at least we can face it and do a tikkun. Then, face it. Overcome it. Learn the one great truth. God, the universe, loves us. We say every morning in our Jewish tefillot, Elohai, neshama shenatati b'Torah. The soul you have given me is pure. Like a Sefer Torah, it can never be made unclean. Yes, we can contaminate our bodies. Yes, we can miscalibrate energies. That's only from below going up. But from above going down, it's always connected. All we have to do is simply replug. Change the way we live, change what we do, change the way we think, and cultivate these psychic abilities within us, reaching out with our minds and our hearts. And we all stumble when we begin things. We all know that. Find appropriate tools that'll work for you. Some people will use cultural tools from our Torah tradition, like a Goral. Some will use cultural traditions like a Yi Jing from the Chinese. Some even use cards like the Tarot. And they say, well, it's not Jewish. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I learned tarot cards myself from a Moroccan rabbi from a small town in Eretz Israel. And I never thought they were Jewish either. But he showed me how they correlated to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, to the paths of the Sefirot. Do I fortune tell? No, chas v'shalom, God forbid. I would never, ever try to predict the future or create a future. That violates our most sacred order, Bechirat Hofshit, your personal will of choice. But we can use these things to penetrate and understand human psychology. They become archetypes. Carl Jung understood this well. So whether we're talking about Goralot, or if we're talking about Klafim like Tarot, or Yi Jing, or any of these other kinds of things, they are psychological tools which can be used like a Rorschach test in psychology as an external expression for internal exploration. Now, some people say, oh, it's all Avodah Zarah. You don't even know what Avodah Zarah is. Like Malachi says, if you're focused on Hashem, you're focused on personal development, you're focused on personal growth, you want to live halacha, the natural way of Hashem, then you do it. And you know, maybe you'll make some mistakes along the way. Asma, right? Hashem lo yimanatov loholachim b'tamim. God never holds back good from those who walk before Him innocently. Don't be afraid. Walk forth, know the way, your way, follow it, understand it, and know. In our KosherTorah school, for those of you who know, I teach all these courses from the Shari Kedusha, from the Sefer Yetzirah, from other books, the Bahir, amongst others. And I'm going to continue to do so. Now that we're in Pennsylvania, we're settling down. And I have more chats like this, pep talks maybe, going through the Parashah, the weekly Torah, to try to encourage you. Not so much to book learn. Remember, oral Torah isn't from a book. Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi was very right, very concerned to put it down in writing. They don't want to do it because that would make the fluid, free spirit rigid and entrapped. That's exactly what's happened. We need to free it again, to understand halacha, to live according to it, properly balanced, properly calibrated, male and female, not just philosophical, practical, rational, realistically, right here down to earth. That's what we all need to do. That's our individual personal tikkunim, mine as well as yours. Okay? No exception from any rule. And this is what we must focus on. It is the doing, the ma'aseh. Some would call this Kabbalah ma'asit. They call that Kabbalistic magic. Magic. The real magic it is. But it's not what they think it is. There's nothing dangerous here. Meeting your own inner self, healing your own inner self, there's nothing ever dangerous in that. It's the most essential and important thing for all of us to do. That is Tikun HaNefesh. That is Tikun Olam. And when we do that, we will hear the voice of Ahad and the Ayin and the Shama, the Ayin of the Shama, and the big Dalet of Ahad will form together the Ed, the witness, the calibration, the conduit. And we will then become the individual Merkava, the Merkavot, the chariots, through which universal, divine, collective consciousness, call it what you will channel and flow into this world. And this is how we will bring Mashiach to this world. Whether Mashiach is a man or possibly even a woman, who knows? When we talk about the tikkun of the ben, you never know. But one way or another, stop looking at the superficial. You must learn to penetrate beneath. You must get to the true essence of things. Everything that I have here at our KosherTorah school is your disposal for this. Search, seek things out. Look within yourselves. Ask Hashem to guide you, to direct you, to bring into your individual lives the personal tikkun. Never, ever, ever give up. You must always have faith. Like it says, Tzadok be'emunato yehayeh. The righteous live by faith. The Gemara says in Masechet Makot, the entire Torah is summed up in that one pasuk. There you go. Never give up emunah, faith. Stand upon it like a bedrock. Know that you can heal. You will heal. You must heal. You are healing now. And you will project the positive energy into the collective, the positive energy into everyone around you, to yourself. And we will transform our world. We will accomplish Tikkun Olam. It's our destiny. And now's our time. So on that note, let me conclude. I want to thank you all for listening to my ramblings here. Ariel Tzadok again from the KosherTorah School, KosherTorah.com, presently in Pennsylvania. We'll be starting up new classes soon for our regular supporters. I'd love to have you all come and join us. We only ask for a nominal donation on a monthly basis to help us get along, like any other business. Got to pay the bills. And I want to be here for all of you. Be'ezrat Hashem, you will all be here for me. Because we are one. Together we listen. Together we hear. Be'ezrat Hashem. Thank you again all for joining me. See you all next time. Kol Tov, Hatzlacha, Shalom.